Intro was by me. Like I said, I want to make it a little quick one. And if, shout out for those that remember Gargoyles.
I love that show.
So much talent in that, and I go into it, and
when was it made, Zamoody?
Shut up.
We were talking about how much younger Renara is compared to myself and Zamoody before the show, so now we're having an existential crisis.
You're welcome.
Oh, gosh, damn it. So last week, I had this intro specifically in regards to an old TV show that I absolutely loved. And I'm not talking about Batman, the animated series, although this particular one came out at about the same time. So I'll leave that in the back burner for another day. I will say, if you have an opportunity and you have a Disney Plus account, look up Gargoyles. It is a stellar show, and I'll go into more details next time I do an intro. So very recently, I was put back into a more front-forward position at my work, where I'm listening more to the people around me. And even though the words are there, they can be interpreted in so many different ways just based on how something is said. For example, a coworker of mine just became a grandmother. And I heard somebody say, "Oh, what a beautiful baby." And that particular sentence, for some reason, made me think of, if you were to say the exact same words, but put different feelings behind it, you're still saying the same thing. But it's the cadence, it's the tone that sets how the other person's going to take it. You say, "Oh, what a beautiful baby." It sounds, fairly genuine. It's conveying a love and an expression of the beauty that's in front of you. But if somebody was to go, "Oh, what a beautiful baby," you've completely changed the meaning, maintaining the exact same words, or like, "Oh, what a beautiful baby." That's, you're showing shock for saying the exact same thing. So that just ended up turning into a whole thought process when it comes to voice acting, where you got multiple people, especially when you're auditioning, saying the exact same line, but everybody's delivering it in a different way, putting a different meaning on it. So it's not just about reading what's on the page. You have to think about the emotions behind it. And considering today's topic, I figured this would be an ideal thing to talk about, at least in the intro. So, with all that said and done, let's go ahead and get started and hear other tips from the other co-hosts. I'm sure we'll visit this topic, and I'm sure we'll talk about it as we're going. But for now, let's get the show started. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are watching us, whether you're here live or you are watching us on YouTube or anywhere that you get your podcasts from. Welcome to ColdReadthePodcast. Podcast by voice actors for voice actors. Intro was by me. Like I said, I want to make it a little quick one. And if, shout out for those that remember Gargoyles.
I love that show.
So much talent in that, and I go into it, and
when was it made, Zamoody?
Shut up.
We were talking about how much younger Renara is compared to myself and Zamoody before the show, so now we're having an existential crisis.
You're welcome.
Oh, gosh, damn it. Okay, well, like I said, we'll talk about that, because that's a great show, and in all honesty, I attribute my love for a lot of the Shakespearean stuff because of the topics in that show and the overarching, and like I said, we'll get there. Almost 40 over here. No, I'm a little past you, Pash. I'm coming up on that mid. No, I think I am technically mid 40s. All right, stop talking about age. But like I said, I was just sitting there. It's like, oh, such a beautiful, and it popped in my head. It's like I could say the same thing, and I could like insult the person just by the way it comes out of my mouth.
Yeah. Oh god. Yeah.
Fire and Brimstone. Hey, I'm relatively young, and my favorite childhood show was Thunderbirds. Oh my God, yes, the one with the puppets. I remember that one. Okay. So with all that said and done, let's go ahead and do some check-ins and see how everybody's been. Again, apologies for not being on last week. I'm sure we'll talk about when you get to me. I'll for sure let y'all know what happened. So, with that said, Renara, take it away. How was your week?
I love how I start all of my intros with a sound, and that sound encapsulates just how the week has been. And usually it's just, but no.
Hold on. Here, note for future: capture all noises.
Absolutely, was just about to suggest that.
Just make a fucking just compilation of all the sounds I've ever made. No,
right before you do the weekly. Yeah.
No. My week has been very anxiety riddled. Let's just say trying to change jobs can be stressful, and it's the thing of when one path didn't go the way you want it to go, finding alternative routes when you hadn't planned those alternative routes can be stressful.
Yeah.
So I've kind of ended up having to do a few things that I've never done before, or at the very least haven't done in a very, very long time, like pre-COVID type long time ago. So I'm kind of having to push past my own anxieties and my own stresses and things like that to be able to go and do these things to better myself and be good. But it doesn't mean to say it's not had a lasting effect on me. I look half asleep. It's because I've not slept, to be brutally honest. So if I'm a little lackluster on the energy, that's why. But it's the thing of just keeping going, doing things. I have a good few stories in regards to talking about tips, because in true Ren Rambles fashion, mine come with stories. So that's how I'm doing today.
I'll take it.
Wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah, absolutely.
But other than that, I've got something on the horizon that I have been asked to do. I am doing it for free, but there's a reason why I have decided I'm doing it for free. And I think it would be beneficial, and it's me learning a new way of working. And so I'm going for it. And hopefully when it comes out, I'll be able to show it to everyone. But let's just say I need to brush up on my Star Wars: The Old Republic knowledge.
Ooh.
So yeah. And how that game presents, and how the voice acting and how that their way of voicing characters works. I'm very proficient with certain, like with Elder Scrolls games, but each game has their own style and cadence and way of delivery, as we were talking about in your intro. So I'm going to have to learn a bit about that and a bit about the characters in regards to that. I shall say no more.
Are we talking about Knights of the Old Republic, or
that might be what it. That might be. Yeah, I think
one's an MMO and one's like a single player RPG.
I think it's the one. It's whichever one Jennifer Hale voices one of the main characters in it.
Oh, okay.
Bastilla. Sorry, I don't know how to say her name.
I'm not sure.
That's okay. It's that one.
Okay.
But yeah.
Nice.
It is KOTR. It's Knights of the Old Republic.
Oh, okay. Right. Okay. That's the single.
Yeah, it's the one from it's from BioWare, right? The one that you're talking about.
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
Okay, you're all set.
I think so.
Sorry, quick Google search. We got you.
Yay! Thank you.
No, thank you, Renara, for being here. Eldurrino, how was your week or week and a half or 2 weeks been?
It has been very, very busy, which I am very happy to report. I have just hit the ground running. I am putting in auditions as much as I can, really, or as much as time / trying not to disturb my neighbors will allow me. So on top of that, though, I've also been submitting for more audio engineering roles because I feel confident in my own abilities. And what I've learned over the past 6 months or so, that I really just want to have a means of practicing, essentially. So, I believe it was about a week ago. Spoiler alert, I work for another podcast now.
Traitor!
Yeah, so I got hired on to edit audio for another podcast. Yeah, very nice. It allows me to. Basically, I've been wanting to do stuff that kind of gets me out of my comfort zone. Like, full transparency. Currently, we do not edit our audio for the show. Like, what you hear is basically
What
the
you
raw
get.
footage.
Yeah.
Whereas in this one, they all record themselves individually, send them to me. I edit them to make them sound really nice, very professional. And they also also asked me to add like audio gags to it, if there was a time to fit it in. But yeah, super enjoyable to do, not only because the topics that they talk about relate to Marvel stuff, and I love Marvel stuff, but just again because it allows me to practice and do something that I wouldn't normally do. So after that, I also applied for another position in audio engineering. This one's more for an audio drama, and I was also accepted on for that one.
Hey.
Wow.
However, so far in the last like 3 days for that project, I kind of went a little crazy. I kind of was just like, "Hey everyone, I'm gonna do everything. Let's go." So
make yourself indispensable. This is good.
Well, right. I want them to see my value and whatnot and what I can offer them. And I really took that to the extreme because the lead audio engineer on this project put out a sample, and I was like, here's some ideas that I had for some changes. Once I get home tonight, I will compile something for you and I'll send it over so you can hear what I want to change or what I want to add, whatever. So I did so, and they're like, yeah, that's like 80% of the scene. Now we just basically need music for it and a couple of other changes.
Nice.
So I wrote music for it. I wrote 2-minute and a half long songs for this 5-minute thing. And and then I sent it back and I was like, what do you think? I was kind of presenting it to them like, take any part of this that you want out of there. And so I sent it over and the lead was like, yeah, that's pretty much perfect. We don't really need anything else done to it. And I was like, oops. Like I felt kind of bad because I felt like I'm stepping on toes, but so this is what happens when I, get into the thing. But again, like I want to show my value. I want to show that I'm not here to jerk you around. I'm here as an adult trying to make this into something bigger.
I'm a brave boy.
I have drinking my water today.
Good.
So aside from that though, not like I said, I mean, I've just been spending time in the booth, spending time doing audio stuff. Like I've been pretty busy. Although I've kind of been playing Hitman 3 a lot.
Ooh, okay.
In my downtime, because they have a freelancer mode now that's like a roguelike, which I love roguelikes. So playing that a lot recently, and by golly, am I terrible at it, but it's fun. I enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, and let me say, you are absolutely indispensable in what you do here. We do absolutely appreciate you.
Oh, stop it.
Sorry, I can't pay you.
One day, maybe.
I like doing this. Like we were saying, this podcast allows us to kind of speak freely and be in a nice, open, safe space where we can just talk about things that we couldn't really talk about with other people.
Yeah.
So
we all share.
That's okay.
Yeah, we all share that common vision of wanting to move up in it. Yeah.
I mean, granted, once we hit that 1,000 sub mark and we start getting ad revenue, I will be taking the lion's share of it. But
Sure.
How are you doing, Zamoody?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. One last thing before we move on.
That's fair. Sorry.
There is a Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide podcast with the original 3 actors. Go listen to it. It is fascinating because
I'm too young. I don't know who that
it
is.
was such a niche like Nickelodeon show that I hope people know about it. But it was kind of like one of those like, oh, this is really great, and then like SpongeBob came along or something like that and kind of took over. But in any case, how was your past week or two, Zamoody?
Oh wow, both of you, thank you so much. So as I mentioned, the whole reason why we ended up canceling the show last week, my wife ended up hurting her back, and I was very nervous about leaving her up by herself. So I wanted to make sure that I was there, and I apologize to our guest that it just, things weren't lining up as best as I wanted, and I didn't want to be too far away. So as I mentioned, my wife hurt her back, so my whole pretty much week and a half has been either working or taking care of her as best as I can. And I really haven't had much time for anything else. So I will say two things though. Thanks to, downtime while I'm still with her, I'm very far in Elden Ring, and
Nice.
I'm looking forward to finishing that game in the next couple of days. Finally, and like a long time into it. And The Last of Us is fucking awesome. If you have not,
show?
Yes.
Okay.
So the HBO show, if you haven't watched it, it's incredible to see, because I know the game very personally. I just recently played it within like the last year and a half, and to watch where that has gone, and this is a game that came out a long, long time ago, and to see it transfer from voice acting mocap to live actors is incredible. It's an honor to be able to be part of that, because I've always thought Last of Us was a turning point in video game storytelling. That we had not seen yet. So yeah. So
that's really good.
Yeah,
I'm glad to hear that there's finally a show or a movie based on a video game that is done justice. Because I know that's a huge stigma behind video games made into TV shows or movies. Like, they're usually not super great. So yeah,
Right.
I'm really glad. I love The Last of Us as well. I have to check that out.
Yep.
I haven't given it a go, only because I wasn't sure the casting was right.
it is.
Okay, that's fine. It's just, I guess it's been so long since I last played the game that I think my image of what the characters are, and I'm a massive Critical Role nerd, so I just see Ashley Johnson as Ellie, which is probably not grand. But yeah, no, I will give it a go.
Fire and Brimstone says Dragon Age's Absolution was pretty bad.
We do not talk about the pit fire that was. Sorry. Thanks, Fire. Thank you for inducing my rage.
There's the trigger.
That's fine. Yeah, no.
No,
Fine.
I think in all honesty, I know there was a big controversy about the person that they cast as Ellie. She does an amazing job. I mean, some scenes are lifted from the game and played out exactly the way that it was in the game. And there's been a lot of changes for dramatic effect. And in all honesty, if you do watch the show, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to keep going on about this, watch the making of the show, and they explain why they make the changes, and it all makes 100% sense.
Got it. Will do.
Yeah. So,
I like that.
So now I've told you guys, go get Disney Plus and go get HBO Plus. So come on, guys, you can pay us a little bit. I mean,
yeah, right.
Okay, well, with all that said, let's get that out of the way. Let's talk about the topic of the week. So should we play the game or watch the show first? My youngest child is watching the show and then playing the game and getting to that point, and she is having a very, very fun experience doing
I like that.
Oh, that's a unique way of doing it.
Yes.
It's not as unique in the book readers world. Throne of Glass does something very similar, where they have two books that literally span exactly the same, like at the same time. So someone would read one chapter, then they would read the other chapter in the other book, and it's like actually like as if it was a movie, and what's happening where. Sorry, that reminded me, and it was a Throne of Glass reference, so I said it.
No, I've never, I don't know. I don't think I've ever really thought of doing something like that. I feel like I would get two stories intertwined together and like not remember specific details to each of them, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
Yeah. So let's talk about the topic of the week. So I just put it up as like our recording tips, because this isn't going to be like, this is the end all be all. This is what no. This is what we've this
is what we've done.
Right. What we've discovered as we go along.
I don't know what you're talking about. My tips are solid and are things that
Sure.
everyone should use all the time, forever.
I mean, mine are in
No
there as
questions
well.
asked.
Mine are very wishy-washy, and this is what I did recently, and this is what I have learned as a result.
Right.
No, that's good. That's
Let's start there.
Shall I start? Shall
Yes,
I start,
yes,
guys?
go
Let's
ahead,
go with
please.
it. Okay. And I'm going to preface this by saying thank you, Fire, because I'm about to talk about the trauma you put me through D&D. Playing D&D, I have always found is a wonderful way, both as a DM, because I both DM and play. DMing allows you to understand the basis behind a lot of the NPCs and the characters and the story, and especially on my production side, that's where I get most of my sort of refreshing skills from. But recently, my character, who is it's a Warhammer sort of D&D group, and I'm playing a character who is very much a dual wields daggers, very, very suave, very sort of sexy, very sort of doesn't particularly care about anyone type thing. But she recently went through something which was basically she lived through another person's memories. Basically,
Ooh.
to put it, she experienced what happened to somebody else through like literally their memories.
Yeah.
So it was a thing of, and she went through this arc of it didn't happen to me, this didn't happen to me, and there was a moment, which I'll get there as a point. I'll get there was a moment where it got to my character and her god, and it was something that the person who roleplayed with me said, and I'll remember it. My soldiers are brave, they are not dauntless. And that got me thinking massively about fear and what it is to be brave in today's modern society, ironically enough.
Yeah.
And going into this artistic community, some people have said that to put your art out is to put your heart on a platter for the world to see and for them to do and say what they will. And to be that vulnerable takes bravery. And it was something that never crossed my mind because I'd never allowed myself to feel afraid, or at the very least never acknowledged it. I would push it aside, I would push it down, and I would understand that I felt uncomfortable. But to deny that it's there, and to deny it exists, and to deny that I feel this, caused it was in the guise of my character at this point. I was learning through doing D&D, because she was like, "This didn't happen to me," and then I realized I've done this before both in voice acting of when I'm trying to get into the emotional state with a character and I don't fully understand what this character is going through, I get frustrated and upset with myself and afraid I can't do it justice. So then I get into my own head, and then and then the performance suffers, and then I'm kind of going, no, wait. Taking that minute to have that introspection to realize what I'm feeling at this point. And that takes time. That takes experience and learning. And it's something that people don't tell you. People don't tell you, and they expect you to know. They expect you to know what emotions are and how they feel. And for some of us, even for some of us actors, like, I struggled to identify what emotions were from a very, very early age. I didn't know the difference between anger and passionate until I was in my 20s. And I'm being very, very honest with that. And it's the thing of everybody's understanding of emotions is completely different. And that ties into what Zamoody was saying with how we interpret different lines. Does not mean that it's wrong. It is simply your reality at that point, and learning and expanding. And that was just one thing that I'm now going to take into the booth and realize, like, okay, what am I feeling right now? Because at the minute, my mental health's been all over the shop, and it will affect my acting. So I'm having this moment of take that minute to think. Currently, where am I, the person inhabiting this body, feeling, and what does my character that I'm about to step into need to feel, and take that time to map that journey safely from one to the other. And if you're able to, try to. I don't want to say compartmentalize, because that's how unhealthy habits form. But it is the thing of how do you say that? Cognitively? Is that the word?
Cognitively?
Thank you, that one.
Okay.
Cognitively realize that one does not equal the other. You are not your character. Have that distance, have that respect, but also take the time to, again, ask and understand and figure things out as you go. And it was just a wonderful thing that I experienced recently with my character and realizing it in myself. And I took that to something I did this Wednesday. I had to drive to somewhere I'd never been before, or at least I hadn't realized I'd ever been. I haven't been to it in a very long time. Meeting people I'd never met. And I was like, I am terrified. I am so scared. I don't know what's going to happen. But I was like, at least I know I am. And the knowing is half the battle. And going, right, I'm aware I am in a scared state. What can I do to help and fix and do what I need to do to get through?
Mm-hmm.
And that's a Ren Ramble special part 1. There's 3 of these guys.
Well, you mentioned it, so here we go.
Yeah.
I'm
gonna harmonize at one point.
Oh, don't worry. I'm working.
Eldurrino's working on
new
it.
alerts.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
You're gonna have
who's gonna follow up with that, guys?
You're gonna have a nice genre. I will follow up with that because
fabulous.
One of the points that I wrote down actually kind of piggybacks on that.
Mm-hmm.
So it is. Let me just start off by saying it is certainly okay to be fearful, especially when it comes to putting something out there that you yourself have made. And I know actors, artists always get the bad rap of, oh, they're just, emotionally whatever, like, it's all just sadness and blah, blah, blah. That's not true. Like, if any of these people were to take, something that they do on a daily basis, say woodworking, you want to make, let's see, what's something ridiculous? You want to make wooden ostriches that people put on their lawns. I want to see those people put their stuff out there and be okay with it and not be fearful and just not care what the world thinks. Because, I mean, truthfully, everybody cares, when people say, I like that or I don't like that. Like, you still care. It's something you made, something personal to you. Anyways, point being, I find a lot of the struggles, at least for myself, when it comes to putting myself out there, either as a person or as an artist, is uncertainty.
Mm-hmm.
I shouldn't say never, but I don't always feel comfortable with the stuff I put out there. I like to think that when it comes to my own art, I'm a pretty good judge of whether or not it is worthy of putting out there or not. Because, sometimes we just have an off day. I've written music that I at first thought was going very well, and then the following day I listened back to it and I was like, "What? No, this is terrible. Like, nobody's going to want to listen to this. Throw it in the bin." Not to say that you should do that all the time, but you need to be confident when it comes to putting yourself out there. Like, and I know it's not easy to do, just because you do get worried about things like that. But wow, train of thought just gone. Basically, the way that I combat uncertainty in general is by setting goals for myself, whether that be short term, in the moment, short term, weekly, monthly, something more long term, whatever the case may be. As of lately, my personal goals have been take 2 days out of the week. Doesn't matter how much time during that day, but 2 days out of the week to get it in the booth. Doesn't matter what you're doing, just get in there, do something, and then come out feeling accomplished. Since I started that, I feel I have now almost ingrained it into my brain. Like, okay, it's Monday. You got to be searching for auditions. You got to be applying for jobs. You need to get in the booth and do something, whether that be singing, talking, whispering, screaming, whatever the case may be. Like, you have to do something. And it sounds silly, but it's actually been very, very effective. I have put out, oh gosh, maybe within the last few weeks, I'd say maybe like 40 auditions, I want to say.
Wow.
Fair enough.
Which, truthfully, within 3 weeks has already overtaken how many auditions I put out last year in its entirety. So, just having that simple goal of getting in the booth and seeing what happens has helped me out tremendously. I know a lot of people out there, especially when they're starting a new career, are uncertain about it. However, if it's something that you want to do, go for it. Like, you don't, Renara says this all the time, you don't need anybody's permission to do something that you want to do or something you love to do. I love acting. I love audio engineering. I love writing music. And like, just by putting myself out there, I now have jobs that allow me to do all three of these things. And it's awesome. Like, I suddenly I'm getting to a point in my life where I think to myself, man, I really wish I had time to play video games. That never was a problem for me before, because I'm an adult and I can do whatever the hell I want, but now I'm starting to kind of shift my perspective and realign my own goals as far as my life goes to cater more to that, cater more to my artistic side, feed the muse. And as I was saying, I wrote, for this audio drama, I wrote 2, albeit short, but 2 songs for it. And like, honestly, even though they are very short, they resonated with me. I was like, I threw it to them and I was like, this is like the best stuff that I've written in a very long time. Right. So, if you don't like it, I want to say too bad, but if there's something you want different about it, please tell me. And fortunately, everything went smoothly and they were very happy with it. But what I'm trying to make is, it's the world can sometimes be scary. Opening yourself up, exposing, your inner thoughts and feelings and opinions to the world can be scary, especially in recent times. But I implore you to give it a shot and just do what you need to do to make yourself happy.
And it's okay if someone doesn't like it, because not everyone is going to like your stuff. Yep. Not everyone is going to like you. As much as every single people pleaser who's listening to this is cringing at that idea, but it's true. And it's a cycle to break, and it's a very hard cycle to break. But in regards to art, your art is an extension partially of your own expression, and it won't be everyone's cup of tea. I don't like Destiny, but it's these guys' cup of tea.
What?
I don't like Destiny. I'm going to drop that bombshell right now. I don't like it. I don't like it. But that doesn't mean to say I'm not going to enjoy listening to these two talk about it constantly.
Right.
It's everyone has their own opinions, their own thoughts, their own creative things that they like. You have your own creative things that you like and your own way of expressing that. And you should be able to have those opinions or have that taste or whatever.
Yeah.
And oh, damn it. Somebody both me and Fire know recently said, life's too short, dress up like a video game character or something like that. Fire, tell me what she said. But it was the thing of, again, that's an artistic expression. Your life is your own. Do what the heck you want, as long as it's not hurting somebody. But yeah.
So while we're waiting for Fire to respond, I love that Josh Jargon has come in, and as you said,
hey, Josh.
Every single people pleaser, they're thinking, I'm in this photo and I don't like it. And no, I mean, 100%. This is such a hard, and I mean, it works into acting, it works into singing, it works into any single profession where you're the focus. It is so hard. Because you can go into that negative space so easily. Yes. So something definitely to watch out for. Now, as far as my tip is, I'm more technical, because I guess I
Yeah.
don't know why I tend to do that a lot. You guys have all heard me say this before, and I think some of you have started using it. If you make a mistake in your recording, pick a word, pick a sound. People use those training clickers that make that particular noise. So if that creates a very particular sound wave, even the word pickup in itself doesn't, where you can just look at your audio and you can erase those particular entries, and it makes your recording so much easier. Because you don't have to worry about listening to those mistakes again unless you really want to, and you think you can get something from it. You can just erase it, and you can move on quickly. When I was doing YouTube videos, especially because I had pronunciations of names that were on the Japanese side, I would do it a whole bunch of times, and until I knew I got it, I would use pickup, and I'd be able to get rid of all those and just leave. I know the one that was correct.
Right.
So save yourself the time, figure out a key phrase or a sound, and then go from there.
And ask, sorry, as somebody who provides pronunciations for all of the weird words in for my audiobook drama thing that I'm doing, because I know they are some weird words. Don't be afraid to ask how the project lead wants you to pronounce a certain word, because certain words will be pronounced differently depending on who's saying it. So don't be. Oh dear, what did he say?
Okay, two things. First, Fire and Brimstones came in and said, "Life is too short to not customize your appearance like we're in a video game, like we're video game characters. So if you want fangs and to wear devil horns in public, just do it."
Yes. Yes.
Fair enough.
And then Josh, I love Josh's marking word. I don't need to find a better method of marking mistakes than just saying, "Fuck."
I love it.
that's pretty much me. Like I tried to use like pickup and whatnot, but now it's usually like, I'll just shout like, blah 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 blah. Fuck.
Yeah, same.
Like it's just I know it's stupid, but I'm really actually glad that you brought that up, because I have another point that I wanted to bring up in that being efficient in the booth while you're recording or editing is super, super important. And I'll give you my example for this. I somewhat recently learned that templates in your DAW of choice are a thing. And what I mean by that is you can set up your session inside your DAW to however you want it, and then you hit save as a template, and anytime you need that back, double click on it and boom, everything's there. You got all your audio tracks separated, you have all the plugins on them, whatever the case may be. I cannot stress this enough. This will, like, one, it's going to reduce the amount of time that you're actually recording or just stuck in your booth. And we all know, being in the booth, like especially during the summer, it gets really hot and uncomfortable. And the less time you're in there, generally speaking, the better. So not only does it do that, but it kind of lifts a weight off your shoulders, because I don't have to take the time to set up, my equalization. I don't have to set up a noise gate. I don't have to set up saturation. Everything's already done for me. That's 5 minutes that I could have spent, fiddling everything just to get it right. That I just save that.
Yeah,
makes it super, super easy. And I would even take that a step further, and I have been, by preparing my auditions ahead of time. It's literally, I take, 30 minutes to an hour to sort through auditions, whether that be Discord or Casting Call Club. I'm subscribed to Backstage, so I'll check there as well. Like, I basically go through all the things during the day that I think I could do, bookmark them, and then when it comes time to get in the booth, I have everything ready for me. I have all the tabs open. I just, click into it, record it, name my recording whatever the project name is, and then move on. And then when it comes to editing later on down the road, or after I'm done recording, I can sit down, I can edit everything the way I need to, and then I send it off. And while it's actually like uploading, I'll start working on the next one and have that one prepared. So it does certainly take practice to get into a rhythm with things, but find something that works for you. And if something isn't working for you, analyze it, figure out, what the problem is, and figure out how to fix it. Which, if you're listening to this show, then that's kind of what we're here for. But,
right.
So try to fix it yourself. And if you can't, come talk to us, ColdReadthePodcast@gmail.com.
Come to our Discord. We're all in there.
Damn, I didn't do that.
I love shameless plugging. It is so much fun.
I have a question for you two, actually.
Go
because
for it.
I have a question that was asked to me by a newbie voice actor who I couldn't give them much more other than wear headphones. But this individual is struggling to pick up on any background noise in their auditions. What advice would you guys give? Because initially they were just listening to it from speakers. So they weren't wearing headphones, they were just wearing speakers. Wearing speakers? Okay. And
I mean, technically you're right. You are wearing speakers. They're just, inside of little things.
But they were themselves starting to get a little bit frustrated and upset, saying that because apparently they'd been getting feedback from other places saying there's still reverb, there's still background hiss, there's still things like that, and they're going, I genuinely can't seem to hear that. What should I do? My initial response was invest in a pair of headphones and normalize your audio, all of it, because that might help. Because whenever I've normalized a bit of audio, it's up to some background hiss in certain things depending on how high my gain is. But that was all I could offer. What would you guys add on that?
Zamoody, would you like to go first?
Sure. So when you're talking about background noise, other than the reverb, are we talking about like stuff going on outside or around the house, or
like hiss, like the problem I used to have in that regard?
Yeah, so just the electric, like static noise.
Yeah.
Move your recording section more away from your electronics. Get a XLR cable or get a USB extension and run to your closet and record from there and see if you get any differences. If you still have a hiss or a pop, you have something coming through, you might need a filter, you might need to re-equalize. But the easiest thing is to narrow down where the problem is coming from.
So, okay. So I'm gonna be a little more technical without deep diving too much. Generally speaking, your noise floor should be as low as it can possibly be. Noise floor meaning your background noise, essentially, whether that be just the air in your house or the electric noise coming from your microphone or your interface, stuff like that. Mine is usually like below like negative 64 decibels. So what I would recommend is if you're not hearing it, first off, yes, you need a pair of headphones. Speakers you can certainly hear it in, but generally speaking, it is at such a high frequency that you're not going to hear, high frequency, and it's so like low volume wise that you're not going to hear it coming out of speakers. You're just going to think, oh, that's just the hiss that the speakers make. So yes, get headphones. You should not hear anything, if you're not recording anything. But the other suggestion I can make, if you're not hearing it, I guess, is just training yourself. Make a recording and listen back to it immediately. Like so start off by saying a sentence, then give a 5 second pause. Yeah. Make sure you really wait it out. You want to make sure you hear every detail of that background noise. No, just, make a small pause, read another sentence, make it louder, so that you can check, is the sound reflecting off my walls and coming back, or am I good there? Is it just the background noise, etc.? So overall, yes, get a pair of headphones. It doesn't even have to be expensive headphones. Get a pair of cheap earbuds and you will hear it clearly in them. But also just get used to hearing it. Get used to paying attention to the sounds around you. I made an intro about this, about just stopping for small moments in time to listen to the world around you, whether that be outside, inside, while you're at your job, while you're going to bed at night. Just listen to everything around you and just pick out little minor details. And the more you do that, the more you'll actually start analyzing your own audio, and you will then be able to hear, my neighbor's mowing their lawn. It's, 3 blocks away, but it's still getting picked up in the mic. Or my neighbors love banging on the walls like they're playing tribal drums after a successful hunt. Like that. That stuff you'll start to pick up on. If you couldn't tell, that's a very personal experience for me.
Thank you.
So that's that would be my advice. I didn't get as technical as I was going to there, but
No, it's fair.
I mean, keep
there's
in
also
mind,
noise gates, but
my booth used to be next to a busy street, so my biggest thing for that background noise was record at after 11 up until like 2 a.m.
Right.
And that's when nothing is happening. The house is quiet. All those noises are gone at that particular time. So something else to consider.
Right. At the very least, if it comes down to it and what this is and how to use it, noise gates actually can help. If you're using a DAW that has like a plugin for a noise gate, generally you can save time using that, because you can say, anything that is quieter than, negative 60 decibels or whatnot, just completely eliminate it. And then that way, when you are recording, any of that background hiss, whatnot, it's automatically removed for you because it's just being filtered out.
Cool.
Can I derail this conversation and go a completely different direction?
Well, is this on the next tip, or are we talking about something else?
Quite possibly, yes.
Oh,
Sure.
it's a gamble.
Let's
All right.
It's a 50-50.
50-50. No, it's more the fact of, because it kind of, again, I've had the recent opportunity to work with, when I work with individuals who already have seemingly established platforms. And this is new for me. I usually it was starting out, when you start out as a voice actor, especially in my experience, I started out just with Matman and people doing their own small things like that. And now, having done it for a while, I've started to be able to make contact with people who have an established, for lack of a better term, fan base, or at least have an audience for their own sort of things, and they're quite well established. And it was interesting when I was having this conversation with this person, and they brought up a topic, or just a small thing that I hadn't really thought about, which is, he stated that he wanted to he wants to get into voice acting, but he thinks his ego gets in the way of him being able to do, or in a weird way, he talked about his ego and talked about how it sort of got in the way of him wanting to do certain things, if that makes sense. I didn't quite fully understand, but in my head it made sense to me in the sort of regards of networking, and him possibly thinking about which things he wants to do, either not being worried how that's going to affect his brand. Something that I hadn't thought about, because again, I hadn't thought, I'm not nearly as big as him. So it was kind of just a thing of, it got me thinking about networking and some of the skills that it takes when you're networking in an industry. Because a lot, when I was growing up and going, I want to be in the creative industry, I would only get told, you need to network. Never how or what sort of things like you should do. So I've kind of come up with maybe like 3 things that if I could have told my younger self on start with these, it might have helped me better. So it all came from just having this conversation with this one person who was able to give me sort of a different perspective on themselves in this sort of industry. And I was just like going, okay, so first one is sort of remember where the ball is at all times. And this makes sense. You've got you and the person you want to work with. And it's a definite thing of figure out who's got the power at this point, whether you've asked a question, they need to respond, or it's that thing of try to keep it balanced.
Mhm.
Don't start messaging them constantly. Be comfortable in the silence that perhaps time zones might be in the way, or they might be busy with something, or figure out who's got the ball in what court and be comfortable with where it is and try to keep it as even as possible.
Sure.
Secondly is to lock that 13-year-old part of yourself deep into the dungeon, far away, stop fangirling whenever you meet someone you like.
That sounds like a personal one.
Yeah.
Oh, I met Tom Scar and that went awful.
Oh.
But no, it's a thing of people who may have established audiences or have a larger audience or might be in that position are people too.
Mhm.
We are
Yeah.
all people.
Mhm.
And especially because I've had newbie voice actors after they've watched this and gone, oh my god, you're Renara, hi, and I'm there going, hold on, you're about the same age as me here, calm. And it was just sort of the thing of like, we all get excited about our heroes and excited about people that we like and admire and things like that, but it's always just try to keep that under control. 13-year-old me, no, 18-year-old me, that. And it also kind of ties into what you were saying earlier, which is know your worth and let them know your worth.
Yeah, right.
It is knowing what you're understanding your skills, understanding what you have, what you can offer, and being able to offer it in a way that isn't, I can do this, because I've done that recently and it backfired in my face, because I auditioned for something where they basically said, we don't want you for this, but we might want you later on down the line. And they said, can we just sort of keep you in our back pocket, so to speak? Winky face. It was weird, but it was nice. It was fine. And then I did this stupid thing, which was, oh, but I can do this. I can do this. You're a audio drama people. I do audio dramas too. And I got sucked into the trying to oversell what I can do.
Yeah.
That was going too far. And I know that now. I overstepped. The transaction of actor to audition had concluded, and I should have just left it there. And I probably shot myself a little bit in the foot by overdoing it afterwards. And so that was how I felt after realizing it.
It's only a problem if you're over promising, if you under deliver.
Mm-hmm. But now I've kind of come to think of find ways to show people what you can do that includes them in some way. For example, I asked in a Discord for some feedback on some singing that I'd done recently.
Mhm.
So that was my way of showing, hey, I have this skill. I would like these people have no reason to know me or whatever at this point and all this thing, but I would like some criticism. I'd like to include you in this.
Yeah.
On what I'm making. And it was like the power dynamic between the two was not uneven. It was I'm being able to show you this, but you're also being able to give your 2 cents on it, and it was sort of back and forth, and it was a nice two-way exchange sort of thing, and it didn't feel forced. So if you can find ways to slip things in here, there, and everywhere in a way that doesn't seem forced, more power to you. And I just wanted to talk about those because it was the thing of like, networking was never explained to me when I was younger. And so it is always the thing of just getting to know people, figuring out when is a good time to show what you can do in a way that includes them and makes them feel that they may be able to impart something of theirs onto yours. It's a collaborative process, and that is how you network. You build a team, you work together on things rather than going, this is me, this is what I do, come all ye and take my services. That sounds so wrong. But yeah, that's a really, really rubbish way of trying to explain networking, but I hope it helps someone.
And ramble.
Yay! Are we gonna go 3 for 3? No.
Oh gosh, I hope not.
Oh, we're going for number 3? Oh, man. No, I agree with you, Renara. I mean, it's a pretty common saying that when it comes to the entertainment industry, it's about who you know, not what you know.
Mhm.
I don't necessarily agree with that because I've worked with people that aren't good. Like they don't know how to do their job. So
Mm.
it is about what you know, trust me. But yes, it's, when it comes to networking, that's going to happen regardless. As long as you're doing the thing that you want to do, you're going to meet people, you're going to network that with them. Hell, if you're good enough at your stuff and, as long as you're humble about it, I guess,
Mm.
they're going to want to work with you again. And they will tell their friends about you, hopefully. So, I would say, just to kind of, I guess, round off what you said, like, yes, networking is important, but it will come with time. I think it's maybe a little more important just to work on the talent portion, I guess, depending on what you're doing.
What you make and what you offer and what you do. And if you love what you do, other people will find what you do, may also love what you do, then you can all love what you do. And then it just
Exactly.
lovely grows into just a big puff ball of rainbow confetti. Who knows?
That was a lot of what you do in like a span of 30 seconds. By the
Absolutely.
way.
Yeah.
And yeah, like you're saying, don't oversell yourself, because if you can't deliver, that reputation is going to follow you for a while. And reputation is super important when it comes to this. So don't what is it? Ghost those roles that you don't want to do anymore. Separate yourself in a very professional manner if you don't want to do it anymore.
Right.
And being humble enough to admit that when mistakes happen and to learn from them without trying to over explain and just sort of go over it. Basically every other YouTuber's apology video. But it's the thing of mistakes happen, you learn,
Jesus.
and that's how you learn. That is how you learn. But being humble and self-aware to admit that when they happen and go, yep, I messed up. This is how I'm going to get better and not do that again.
Right.
That is what will also draw people to you, because you're showing that you can grow.
I'm sorry for that weird noise. I was very excited because you started saying that, and that actually was a perfect segue into my last thing that I wanted to say for this episode.
Go!
In that, don't be afraid to try new things.
100%.
Yeah.
Life is too short to worry about what you may or may not be good at. Because honestly, the only way you're ever going to find out is just by doing it. Yeah. I wasn't even sure that I would be good at the whole audio engineering thing. But then I realized, like, I've been surrounded by it, like, my whole life. Just, sit down and try it and see what happens. And now I have 2 jobs doing it, and hopefully more to come,
Yeah.
So, and if you're trying something new that, you enjoy, make sure to practice it as much as you can. And I don't necessarily mean in regards to like audio stuff, but in acting, I personally felt like last year I was really stuck with the same wheelhouse. Like I had told myself, I know what I'm good at. I know what I can perform. Let's play it safe. Let's not branch out, and it kind of made me complacent. It made me say, well, I can't do that audition because I can't do that voice. I can't do that accent. My voice isn't as high as they need it to be. None of that matters. None of it. Simply try it. Even if your voice, you may not think that your voice is right for a specific role, but really the only way you're going to know is if someone says, hey, that was nice, but that, we're looking for something different. And there's nothing wrong with that. Your voice isn't going to be perfect for every role. Everyone knows that. Trying something new isn't a bad thing. Like, I mean, last year I really assured myself there was no way I was going to do any roles that would be like child or teenager, because my voice is
cold read.
well, right, and get into that. I didn't feel like my voice was ever fit for that. However, through the process of trying to improve my own singing, I realized I can start talking really high up here and do it very comfortably. So, all of a sudden, I've opened up a whole new world. I can start acting like that teenager, like, young Trunks from Dragon Ball Z. Like, that's something I can do now, and I had no idea. Like, point I'm trying to make is try something new. Be crazy. Do whatever you want. Go. Oh, never mind.
Have the
I was
courage
about
to
ready
try.
to start making like sarcastic comments
No,
about like stuff that you probably shouldn't do, but under the guise.
No.
Yeah.
Having
no.
the courage to try is half the battle. Fear is natural, but perseverance is the hard part. Literally having the courage to try, you aren't gonna die. You're gonna learn.
Well, yes.
Well, in this industry, nothing. I cannot foreseeably see anything in the voice acting industry killing you. This is turned a weird.
Sean
weird
Schemmel
thing.
would beg to differ.
Oh dear. Okay. Have the courage. But basically, what I'm trying to say is like literally having the courage to try means you learn and you grow.
Yep.
I used to be terrible at accents. I am going to give trying accents a go. I auditioned for something that was French in a French accent, and I don't think I got it, but I still tried it.
Yeah.
And the more you practice it, the more your wheelhouse expands, and just it's giving something a go and seeing what comes from it. I always tell this story of I had never been on Twitch before. I had never done a podcast before. I didn't know what was going on. I'd never sung live before until I met these guys and I got that invite to go, do you want to do a podcast?
Yeah.
And
By
I
the way,
just
we're
went,
recording it and
yeah.
broadcasting it at the same time.
yeah.
Mhm.
And it's the thing of I was scared because I hadn't done nothing like this before. And now several years later, we're here. So whenever you get that weird little moment of, should I?
Yes.
Yes.
Within reason.
Within
Asterisk.
reason, Jesus. Oh God.
All right. Because we're coming up on an hour, and I do want to do one last thing before we go, and I'm going to spring you two with a surprise.
Go for it.
Any last tips? Anything? No, we're good.
I'm just going to quickly
Have fun.
recap. Oh, sorry.
I'm just again, and it's the thing of I do keep saying have fun, but in a weird way, it's also to remind myself to keep having fun, and to remind myself
Sometimes
that
you have to.
just because I'm saying it, I need to be enjoying what I'm doing, and that is also partially why I'm doing this other thing for free, because I'm learning, I'm doing it with somebody who I've made a new friend, and I'm doing cool things with them, and it's fun and it's interesting, and I'm learning new stuff, and I'm enjoying doing it.
Awesome.
There you go.
That's the thing.
I just
have
want
fun and mean it. Actually have fun. Looking at you, Fire.
Ooh,
Damn.
busted.
Ouch.
I wanted to really quick recap on the points I made. Make sure that you're setting goals for yourself. Super important to have goals, especially when it comes to the kind of entrepreneurship that this industry is. You need to have goals for yourself, whether that be short term or long term. Make sure you're always looking to improve yourself, whether that be getting up earlier so you have more time in the day, or just being more efficient in the time that you spend in your booth recording or editing. And lastly, don't be afraid to step outside your comfort zone and try new things. And if you like what you hear or are doing, practice it, get better at it, become distinct, become unique, because you are, and we want to hear it. So ColdReadthePodcast at gmail.com.
Yes. Wow. Good.
That was beautiful.
That was good.
Thank you.
Masterclass right there. All right. Then, gentlemen, it's time for...
And now, let's welcome back the only game show on the Cold Read Podcast at this time, AI or Real.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, let's go back to AI or Real. I have 3 more examples here for my co-host to figure out
Oh boy.
whether or
Hell
not
yes.
we are listening to the original person or an AI-created sample of that person. So,
I hope there's a prize this time.
no prize.
Damn it.
But I do
Prize
encourage
is-
anybody who is listening to us on YouTube or even here right now on Twitch, because we do record this live on Twitch, noon Pacific time on Sundays at youtube.com/Zamoody, to come on in and tell me your guesses, and we would love for you to interact with us.
Correction, twitch.tv/Zamoody.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, let me make sure I can bring that down and fade it out, because that was one of the issues I had last time. No, that's we're rambling.
The third one!
Nope, still having technical issues, but that's fine. We can fix that. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so we have 2 examples here, and I'm going to play them back to back. Number 1.
He has not been named.
Number 2.
If that's the case, he will struggle.
Again, number 1.
He has not been named.
And number 2.
If that's the case, he will struggle.
Which one's real?
Second.
Oh, which one's real? 2.
Real is 2. Correct.
We need like a little ding.
I know. I'll do that for next. I'm running out of buttons.
I
need
have
more
some.
buttons.
I have something perfect for that, and we'll get. I'll get it
All right.
for next.
Yeah.
For, I nearly said next lesson. Fuck's sake.
Close enough.
All right, we're looking real. We're looking for real. We're looking for fake. We're looking for the real one, and I'm playing one first. And here we go.
The army found the people in poverty and left them in comparative wealth.
And number 2.
Indian tribes have generally regarded the religion of the Latter-day Saints.
One of them is real. Hold on. We'll do it again just to give people
Can I
time.
again, please.
Yeah. And number 1.
The army found the people in poverty and left them in comparative wealth.
And number 2.
Indian tribes have generally regarded the religion of the Latter-day Saints.
I'm intentionally leaving stuff.
I'm gonna say number. Well, which one's real?
Which one's real is the question.
2.
2 is real.
Hey.
Good job. Last one, as I said, I wanted to do 3 at a time. All right. Number 1.
Mm-hmm.
We live by the rule of law,
Number 2.
because we do not need it.
Oh no.
Number 1.
We live by the rule of law,
Number 2.
because we do not need it.
So this is, again, samples of a real person and then what the AI's created based off of that model.
Number 1 was real.
Eldurrino?
Wow, that's really tough.
I know.
I want to make sure to throw these in.
I think number 1 is real.
Listen to him again.
I'm gonna say 2 is real.
Okay.
Our winner for this week is Renara.
Yeah!
Dang.
Woo!
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, one is the AI.
There was something.
No, I'm sorry.
in
One
the
was real.
tonal
One was-
shift.
yeah.
The last one. It was like, okay, I'm going past the texture and going, how does the natural sound of like
Yeah.
from note to note, because the texture is what people usually cue into. So I'm going, okay, so how does the tone shift? Is it naturally up or naturally down? The other one went like do 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 do. So I was like, that's it.
But I think that was the toughest one out of the ones.
that
I
was
Yeah,
hard.
it was. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, again, thank you so much for listening to the show. If you made it all the way to the end, thank you for being here. Either you did it live, and again, thanks to Pashley, Fire and Brimstone, Josh Jargon, everybody who came in and interacted and said hello. If I missed somebody, I apologize. You're welcome to do this. Come on in. We record this live. Twitch.tv/Zamoody, Zamoody. If you have a question or a topic you want us to talk about, please email us, ColdReadthePodcast@gmail.com, or come in and join our Discord. We have a growing community. I love to see all the people that are coming in. We welcome you, and if you have anything, just go ahead and join in the description in the link that's below, or anywhere that you're watching. It's always absolutely there. If you can't, for some reason, join Discord, email us, because we do want to hear your audio. So you can either drop it off, or you can leave it in the email itself, ColdReadthePodcast@gmail.com, or the Discord.
Sorry.
Renara just had an epiphany.
I have a tiny little bit of an update.
Yeah.
Both the people we critiqued with the Skywind are in Skywind now.
Oh,
sorry,
yay!
both of them got through.
Bravo.
This-
Hey-o.
talking about that, So what I'm trying to say is, it works, guys.
Yeah.
Because I was scrolling through and suddenly both Shimmy and Dash turned up, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh my god, hi!
There
So
you
they
go.
obviously took what we said and they've worked on it, and the lead VA said, yes, we want you in, and now they're on it. So I'm there going, oh, this is so cool.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, and it's great to hear about those people that we can help, because that's really the reason why we're here. And I want to make sure to help as many people as possible. I
Yeah.
mean, like I said, if you can't do it, teach it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So that's what we're all absolutely here for. Next week's intro. Is it Renara?
Is Renara, I believe. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, kind of
And-
grim, maybe. Yeah.
Ooh, and next week we actually have a very wonderful guest. Let me quickly look. Shakira Dunn will be joining us, who is
Ooh.
a pretty big request from our community. So yeah, hopefully you guys come back and check out the interview with her. Also, don't be afraid. Well, don't be afraid. Check us out on Twitter, Cold Read Council.
Yes.
Also, we have a Facebook. So come follow us there. Just search Cold Read the Podcast. You'll probably find it. It should be the only one.
And if you don't come back, let us know. We'll try to figure out how to make that a little bit more visible.
There
All
you
right.
go.
Ladies and gentlemen, again, non-binary pals as well. Well, let's go ahead and give a couple last words, because we've been giving a lot of tips. But I will start again and say, even if you fall, just get up. And I know it's really hard for all of us to do, but don't be afraid. Next.
Keep your friends close.
Ooh, I like that.
Keep your friends close and know who your friends are.
That was odd.
I know, very weird, but I'm sorry. It just popped into
Um,
mind and it made sense. Sorry.
Keep continuing to grow yourself.
Perfect. All right, but till next time. Catch you later. Bye-bye.
Bye. Oh yeah, and drink water.
Yeah, it is.